I think it would be fair to argue that China has become a true system-level competitor in the global innovation system. China is certainly no longer a fast follower or a catch-up player. I do think that China's innovation success is very much characterized on an industry-by-industry basis. Certainly there are some industries in which China has proven itself to be far more innovation capable than others. Now, certainly China is not the only nation in the world like that. The United States, European countries have their strengths and weaknesses in the innovation system. China graduates more scientists and engineers each year than the United States and Europe combined. When you see that China's share of scientific publications across a wide range of high-tech industries now lead the world, overall my think tank would argue that while China's innovation system is not perfect, and certainly no country's is, it is certainly much stronger than it has generally been given credit for. Well, first, let me speak to the U.S. innovation model. And the U.S. system is very much focused on funding private investigator-led, curiosity-driven scientific research. So research grants will go to universities doled out by the National Science Foundation and the National Institutes of Health, and the research gets conducted. And a lot of times, great scientific discoveries come out of that process. If you look at the effective academic technology transfer in the United States since 1995, it's led to 18,000 startup companies. So the system in the United States works, but it is not particularly intentional or directional. What's different about China, first, is that there is a very significant directionality and intentionality towards it. Of course, this is primarily embodied in things like the 5-year plans for science and technology that China produces. It involves Made in China 2025, the industry targets that China has chosen. But certainly it's a much more top-down innovation-driven system, whereas the United States could be called a much more bottom-up driven innovation system. Point two about what makes China's innovation model different from the United States is that China has really concentrated on scale in its research and innovation system. So you see a focus on specialization in Chinese government efforts to form advanced technology, research, and industrial clusters. A good example that comes to mind is the Dongguan Robot City in China. It's a government-supported robotics research institute that has over 400 Chinese robotic companies on the campus. There are research institutes there, universities there, professors there, right? So it's this massively scaled regional cluster to drive Chinese leadership in robotics. And we see this, in many industries like batteries and electronics and semiconductors. So this notion of concentration of scale, of agglomeration affects technology regulation. So the U.S. system tends to be very industry specific in its regulatory approach. I'd assume China's is much like that, but also at the same time, there is, I think it would be fair to say, more of a uniform set of principles guiding regulatory policy towards high-tech industries in China. I think there is, an attitude of innovate, of experiment, of rapidly iterate. And I certainly would argue that the regulatory policy towards innovation in China is far more permissive to it than would be the case in places like Europe. A strength of China's system is to be able to agglomerate and aggregate and align actors within an ecosystem in a particular direction. A good example of this, and I should mention, that over the past 24 months, my think tank has issued a series of reports asking how innovative is China in a number of advanced technology industries. We look at sectors like EV batteries, nuclear power, robotics, chemicals, artificial intelligence, quantum, biotechnology, displays, semiconductors, etc. But I was struck by a couple of the examples in that research. One in nuclear power, and China clearly does now lead the world in the deployment of fourth-generation nuclear reactor technologies. But in doing that research, it was just very clear that the central government or the state governments, as the case may be, align every specific actor within that ecosystem to march to a certain drum. There's a great deal of organization and alignment and those kind of systemic effects, or those ecosystem effects to drive, to delivering very complex systems at scale, I think is an advantage for China. Another example comes out from like the car, the electric vehicle industry. I was talking with a leading Japanese company when we did this research, and they were like, okay, consider just like the heads-up display, right, or the screen, the display screen in a car. In Japan, if you wanted to change that, you'd have to go change the SKU, that's the particular product line, and you go to the supplier, you call up the supplier, and it would take 3 to 4 months to put that in the order queue and get this ultimately incorporated in the car. And she pointed out that in China, what you do is you go out on the street to the supplier who makes that display, and they have the new screen for you in 2 weeks, right? So when you look at there's agglomeration of key suppliers in these high-tech supply chains for like displays or printed circuit boards or fiber optic cables or what have you. The fact that they're all there in China just means that you can iterate much more rapidly, and you can get innovative products to market more quickly. And so that's a definite case where scale and size is leading to speed and innovation, and that's why system capabilities matter. When we look at Western China, we're looking at areas that are not nearly as congested, not as populated as Eastern China. That's a strength and a weakness, but it can particularly be an asset because it positions Western China well for so-called greenfield development, right? Completely new sites. And when you now can build from the ground up, in many cases, you can elegantly design small modular reactors for nuclear power systems that support the AI data center that drives the local AI and tech ecosystem. So I mean, there's a real opportunity, I think, to reimagine where the digital capacity of China resides. Certainly in other sectors like electric vehicles, where you have the local access to the minerals, critical minerals, and the rare earths, that's there, and that confers a local advantage in regional production and things like these batteries. I think there are a lot of assets that Western China can bring to bear in modern high-tech industrial ecosystems. China brings many strengths to bear. When we talk about an electric car, 40% of the value of the vehicle is the battery, right? So that's what makes it different than an internal combustion, engine, an ICE engine. And the fact that, China dominates much of global rare earth mining and refining and processing both, gives Chinese entities the ability to access the core chemicals going into EV batteries at low cost, so they can experiment, they can innovate rapidly, they can develop the batteries cheaply. So control of the mineral resource ecosystem behind EV batteries is a key competitive differentiator for China. Then you add in other elements. China, more so than the Western companies, have really aggressively adopted digital technology in the vehicle. So karaoke machines, refrigerators, digital bling, it's called. So they're attuned to making products that customers want. It's fascinating that in 1985, China manufactured a grand total of 5,200 passenger vehicles. Last year, they manufactured 27 million vehicles. What you're seeing there is, all kinds of scale. It's subsidies, it's speed, but it's the entire industrial ecosystem that is very rapidly turning on the products. There's a famous professor at the University of Berkeley named Henry Chesborough, and he famously said that an inferior technology taken to market with a superior business model will always beat a superior technology taken to market with an inferior business model. So technology certainly matters, but if the technology isn't embodied in ways that are accessible to the customer or that integrate within broader networks or ecosystems, then that technology is going to languish on the shelf. So I think both are important, but I would say that the system it matters more. And the other point there is that it's the system, and there we mean the universities and the research institutes and the companies and the students, right? The system creates the technology, right? So I think if you look at the stack, it's the system that both produces and enables the expression of the technology in a fundamental way. So yeah, I think going forward between the US and China, it'll be a contest of geo-economic systems.